Hi, I'm Gary White for Channel 6 Television. I'm here with Obie Slater. We are in Lebanon, and Obie was the manager of Club Cherry here in Lebanon for quite a while and brought lots of famous bands to the area and is still promoting and bringing bands to Marion County here. Just recently this weekend, you brought a group to one of the clubs here in Marion County. And you are also have been nominated to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, potentially, to be on the roster there, correct?
Yep.
Well, congratulations. That's pretty exciting.
Thank you.
Now, let's start off. You are originally from Mississippi, correct?
Mm-hmm. I was born in Mississippi.
Okay, and then you came to Lebanon via Danville.
No, I left Mississippi and came to Tennessee. And I left Tennessee and came to Danville.
Okay.
Then left Danville and came here.
Okay. Now, can you tell us what brought you to Lebanon?
Well, I had met Mr. George, and he heard that the hotel was going out of business.
The hotel where you worked in Danville?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
He called me one Sunday afternoon and asked me that I want to come down and run his nightclub. I told him, I said, man, I ain't never ran no kind of business. I said, plus, I don't have a lot of education. And he told me a little story. He said, there was this man who worked at a college 20 years. And said one day they came around and told him, says, Unc, you got to fill out an application if you want to keep your job. So he couldn't fill out no application. For that reason, he lost his job. So he bought a little truck and started hauling garbage. And then, next thing you know, he bought another truck, made him haul a little more garbage because he bought a bigger truck. And so one day he decided he wanted a great big truck. And they walked in the bank, told the bank he wanted a big sum amount of money to buy this particular truck with. The bank says, all right. He made an X and got his money, which was his money in the bank. So banker looked at him and says, Uncle, says, suppose you had stayed under the college. No, suppose you could read and write. He said, if I could read and write, I'd still buy that damn college. Broke.
Yeah. Huh. So he knew that you were a good investment.
Mm-hmm. Yep. He had faith in me.
Mm-hmm.
And from then on, we've been buddies. He was one of the best friends I had. I thought a whole lot of him, and I still do.
We're talking about Halim George.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. And he was the owner of Club 68 and Club Cherry.
Club Cherry.
Mm-hmm.
And I miss him. And since I've been nominated to the Hall of Fame, I'm trying to let him be a part of it.
Mm-hmm.
And I hope, like we do get to go. And if he was around, I'd like to see him shoot on a cigar and tell him the story.
So we're kind of going to give him a little tribute as well with these stories that you're telling, because we'll kind of give him a little tribute today too with these stories.
Yes, he was my friend.
Mm-hmm.
And he was a businessman. He had an eye for business. Plus, he was a people man.
Mm-hmm.
He wasn't really into music, but he's into the stuff that music should do for him. You know, music will make him money.
Mm-hmm.
But come tell him what kind of music and who does what kind of music, he didn't know.
Mm-hmm. That's why I needed you.
And I didn't know until he pulled me in. I always have, all my life, I love music.
Mm-hmm.
So when I was a kid coming up and down the Mississippi, most all the kind of music they had on the radio was country. And I fell in love with country.
Okay.
I used to love to watch Grandpa Jones and Minnie Pearl.
Uh-huh.
Minnie Pearl had that thing going saying, "Well, sir, folks, I'm glad to be here. I'm so glad I could come." And they made her quit saying it. Till, like I say, the first big show I had was Bobby Bland and Little Junior Parker. And the man that ran the club before I did, he didn't pay him when they played for him. He took the money and ran.
Mm-hmm.
So Bobby sent Junior ahead to see was the same man still running the club. So Junior calls back and tells him, no, it's not the same man. Then Bobby came on. And that was a beautiful night.
So after you left the hotel in Danville, because that closed down, you came to run Club Cherry. And what year was that? Were you saying
61.
1961. Okay.
Yeah, 1961. I'll never forget, I see them little kids now popping and shaking their fingers. And a lot of the people got mad with them because they put them out, but they got over it. And I had a little band out of Danville. And I made them be my band.
Mm-hmm.
So I sent them a whole lot of different places. To people I had met and talked to on the telephone and stuff. So after Bobby Bland, I booked Joe Tex. Joe Tex was almost a preacher, really.
Huh.
For a while, he lived at Club Cherry. He and Little Richard both.
Mm-hmm.
That was before I came.
Okay. So probably in the late 50s, maybe? Early 60s?
They were here in the 60s.
Uh-huh.
No, in the late 50s.
Late 50s.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because they played for a fella called Junior Lecture.
So Little Richard was backup to somebody then? But Little Richard was the backup to somebody else performing, is that what you're saying?
No.
Okay.
No. Little Richard made a tape and sent to California, and they sent him a plane ticket. And he ain't looked back since.
Yeah. But he was here for quite a while, huh?
Mm-hmm. He played here at Bardstown and little places around.
Mm-hmm.
But I had Joe Tex on a Monday night. And I looked back on the bandstand. He had one more good show. I look back on the bandstand, and everything was moving but the drummer. The other night, everything was moving all around. I stood there and looked for a minute. I said, what a show. He put on one more hell of a show. And he could do things with a microphone I don't think nobody in the world could do without tearing it up. Then they had the big stand-up microphones in with the big head.
Huh.
He had did the thing called, won't somebody please take the woman with the skinny legs? And that was the big thing for him.
Uh-huh.
And the next big show I had after that was Hank Ballard and the Midnighters. The band showed up. Now they showed up when I was closing up.
Uh-huh.
The Midnighters did. Hank Ballard and the Midnighters showed up.
That's where they got their name from. Maybe that's where they got their name from, the Midnighters.
Yeah. They got lost.
Yeah.
So I took that as a loss, and then I booked B.B. King.
Wow.
And I had listened to B.B. King when I was a kid. Matter of fact, I went to see B.B. King when I was a kid at Yazoo, Mississippi.
Huh.
He played in Yazoo.
Uh-huh.
His home was in Enola, which is about 75 miles from Yazoo.
Okay. Now, how did you find all these people and bring them to Lebanon?
Like I said, June Letcher, he gave me a lot of information. Because he had been in business for quite a while before I got here.
Okay.
And there was a booking agent in Chicago called Shaw Artists. There was a booking agent in New York, I forget the name of it. And I did business with a booking agent out of Macon, Georgia. And I did business with a booking agent out of Houston, Texas. And I did a business with a booking agent out of Memphis.
Mm-hmm. All around.
So I had booking agents all around. And a lot of times, those people would call me
Okay.
and tell me who they got available. Or they'd send me a little thing on paper.
Brochure.
Yeah. They were telling me who they got, and I'd go down the list and I'd see who I want.
Uh-huh.
Then I call them up and tell them I want 61. Yeah, I got one day and I was looking down in and I saw Ella James.
Wow. Did she perform here?
She had a big record thing called Tell Mama. So I booked her. And her road manager said, so I booked here in Lebanon.
So you had Etta James?
So I played here in Lebanon on a Sunday night. On a Monday night, I went to Lexington. That place called the Cotton Club.
Uh-huh.
And then she was singing on stage that night. Her road manager said, well, she got about 3 more years left. That's been 40 years ago. And she's still doing it.
That's right. Yep. Yep.
So that's been a long 3 years.
Yes. She has longevity.
Yes, yes. And then I booked Count Basie.
Okay. Wow.
And I had a very few people, so it wasn't integrated then, see. But my crowd was white that night.
Okay.
The black people weren't in that kind of music.
So Club 68 and Club Cherry were not integrated at the time. That's right. Club 68 was...
Club Cherry was black and Club 68 was white.
Okay. And did many of the people you booked for Club Cherry perform at Club 68 as well? Like, did Count Basie do both? Or
Ike and Tina Turner did both.
Ike and Tina Turner did both. Was that uncommon for an African-American group to do a non-integrated club?
No. Music really was a help to integration period. Because if people played music, they didn't look at no color.
Right. Just the sound.
Because a lot of black people and white people played together in the bands. See, all they want to know then, could you play music? See, even back in the 20s, they had black people playing for white folks.
Yep.
So after Etta James, I slowed up for a minute. Then I got a call from Macon, Georgia. The fellow said, "Obie?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "I got a man I'd like to put in your club. I'm trying to get him started." I said, "Who?" He said, "Otis Redding." I said, "Okay. How much it gonna cost me?" He said, "Well, I'll tell you what I'm gonna do." I said, "What?" He said, "I'm gonna let you have him for 3 nights for $500. I sent him on. So he came and he played that time. He had on a tuxedo with the knees out. And he was drinking cheap gin. And the next time I had him, it cost me $600 for one night. And he had a nice tuxedo. And he was drinking Beefy's gin. So he done moved up.
And do you remember how long it was between? Was it a year or 2 years?
Oh, about 9 months.
Okay.
Yeah, about 9 months in between.
Yeah. Quite a difference 9 months can make.
So the next time I had him, I got ready to have him really, because I called him up and told him I was busted and I need some help. He said, "Okay, I'll take what you do. So you book me for 3 nights. And I'm going to split it with you." He said, "But I'm going to put you on your feet. But if you get it broke again, be ready to dig in your pocket because I'm going to cost you. It's going to cost you next time." I said, "Okay, buddy." So I went to Michigan, then set up a thing for him. And I went to Lexington and set up a date. I played in the Club Cherry. I had 4 nights set up, really. So I set him up in Louisville. And I had some little band one on a Sunday night. And the fella here called Red came by the club and said, "By my club." Said, "Obie?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Did you know Otis Redding just got drowned?" I said, "You got to be lying." "No, I ain't lying." So I called his manager. "Now tell me it ain't so." Said, "Oh, but I like it's not so, but it's true." So then I said, James Brown was the hottest thing in the country then, during that period of time. And Otis Redding was about to take it away from him.
Uh-huh.
And the mafia owned James Brown. So I forever say that the mafia killed Otis Redding. That his plane blew half in two over Lake Michigan.
But he performed here twice.
Hmm.
But he performed here twice.
He from here twice.
Now, tell us a little about when Ike and Tina Turner came. That came about kind of just because of your taste in music?
Because of my taste in music.
Yeah.
I say I saw that on the jukebox and I played it. And they sounded good to me. So I called show artists in Chicago and told them I wanted them. And the first time they came, I didn't have too many people.
Do you remember when this was? What year that might have been?
I say about 65.
Mm-hmm.
I had only been in Club Church 3 or 4 years then.
Uh-huh.
So I said about 65. But the next time I had them, we had a chief policeman called Garrison. He said that was the biggest crowd. He had been the chief of police for 40 years here in Lebanon.
Uh-huh.
He said the biggest crowd that he ever saw in Lebanon at once since he'd been the chief of police. And they locked up one drunk that night. Out of all that big crowd.
That's good.
And there was cars with license plates from everywhere, even down to Florida,
Uh-huh.
Chicago. Well, I had to think I got people from a lot of places. I got a lot of people out of Fort Knox and Louisville, Somerset. I got them from everywhere.
No, they were both at Club 68 and Club Cherry. You did. They played at both clubs, correct?
Who, Ike and Tina?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. How many times did they perform here?
Lord, I don't know. I forgot.
A few.
I had them a few times.
Yeah. That's great. And were they always together? It was always Ike and Tina was never here by herself, I think.
I had Tina one time by herself.
Okay.
I played at Club Cherry and I played Lexington. Then I carried her to Louisville.
Mm-hmm.
When I carried her to Louisville, she had a group called the Ike's.
Uh-huh.
And she picked up one girl out of Louisville. And that girl stayed with her till she went to England.
Huh. Was it a different show between Ike and Tina and just Tina by herself? Could you tell?
It's a whole different show.
Yeah. Different kind.
Yeah, Ike was playing like kind of like blues stuff and R&B.
Mm-hmm.
But Tina, she went back to the kind of heavy metal stuff.
Okay. Which do you prefer?
Anything Tina does.
Okay. It was fine with you either way, right?
Yeah. But I am the R&B and blues person.
Uh-huh.
I like R&B and blues. Plus, I love a lot of gospel too.
Mm-hmm.
I booked some gospel groups in Danville. I booked a group out of Jackson, Mississippi called the Jackson Southerners. I played them in Danville. And I booked a group out of Texas called Slim and Supreme Angels. They're professional gospel groups. So I like all kind of music really, but Count Basie had a fellow with him called Big Joe Williams. And Joe recorded a thing that made him famous was Nobody Loved Me, Nobody Seemed to Care.
Okay.
And he had a big voice. And I booked a fellow called Joe Hinton. He made a song called Funny How Time Slips Away.
Mm-hmm.
And the time that I booked B.B. King, I had a little speaker thing, and I made a mistake and left it on the bar. The thing that goes with the microphone, or the microphone plug in and stuff. And when B.B. King left, it left.
Oops.
But Hank Ballard, he wanted to get paid. And I said, you're not going to get paid. So they want to fight. Yeah, I want to fight. That's all right. I had about 50 people came back to the dressing room and said, now you want to fight? We'll fight. He didn't fight.
Yeah, I bet. Some interesting experiences. Some interesting experiences.
Oh, yeah.
So you started in '61 at Club Cherry. You were there till the early '70s? Okay.
And here after, well, she got the thing going where you were in a nightclub, they opened the door, you done broke the law. And the boss and the chief of police didn't get along too well. So I said, through that, I was a victim of circumstances because the chief of police stayed on me. And I got mad one day and I took my bill license and carried him up to the police station. And I said, here, I quit. Then I went to 68 and started cooking down there. And I moved into the brew room. At 68, the boss had some bears. And my daddy took care of the bears. He'd go in the cage and clean the cage up and fight with them and play with them and stuff.
Really?
After a while, they got too big. He had to get rid of them.
So tell us, for those of us who weren't around at that particular time, where was Club 68 located in present-day Lebanon? Where would that have stood? On Martin Luther King Avenue?
Club 68?
Uh-huh.
No, Club Cherry was on Martin Luther King
Or,
Avenue.
excuse me, Club Cherry, yes, right. It was on Martin Luther King Avenue today. Not far from where the Cardinal Den is now, correct?
Right behind the Cardinal Den.
Okay. Is where Club Cherry was.
They got a slab of concrete back there now.
Okay.
Where Club Cherry was.
And Club 68 was actually on Highway 68.
Highway 68.
Kind of around where the unemployment office is currently, I believe, right?
They were down below where the Social Security place is now.
Yeah, the security.
That's where the horseshoe was. It was below the horseshoe.
Okay. That was the horseshoe over there. And it was Club 68 on the other side.
Yeah, the horseshoe on going down on Horseshoe was on the left-hand side,
Okay.
and Club 68 was on the right-hand side, going down.
Okay. Okay. Now, when did Club Cherry close?
I think it was about 73 or 74 when it burned.
Okay. So it burned down and that's what closed it? Okay. How about Club 68?
That's the Club 68. I say it closed about about 73 when it closed,
Okay.
approximately.
Yeah.
It
Around the
might have
same
been a
time.
little bit later,
Okay.
but it could have been too much earlier because the man that supposed to was buying it called me up and wanted me to come down and run it.
Uh-huh.
Then I told him, no, I'm working and got my benefits and stuff. I said, I ain't 16 no more. I said, I think I better save up my benefits.
Yeah, I hear you. Now, what was your favorite band of all the ones that you booked? Did you have a favorite over those years? Can you pick one particular favorite?
No, I say Otis Redding was one of my favorite people. But I think Joe Tex had the best band. And next to that, Count Basie was,
Enjoyed him?
oh yes. I had a lady friend that graduated from UK, and they had Louis Armstrong for the commencement.
Oh, really? Did he ever perform here?
No, I never did book Louis Armstrong. I know I booked a fella called Jimmy Smith, played the organ. And I booked Billy Preston.
Okay.
He had the thing on, I had a record called Wanna Go Round in Circles. Now him and Ray Charles went to England, and they said it should have been a Billy Preston show. He could sing some, but he's really an entertainer. And he could do things to his organ and walk off and leave it and still play.
Wow. Tough playing. What's your fondest memory? Besides just booking the bands, did you have some kind of fond memory that you recall?
I went uptown and asked him, could I have a midnight rambler? Say, yep, but you ain't supposed to dance on Sunday. We did a lot of things we wasn't supposed to do. So I started my show 1 minute after 12. And Club Cherry wouldn't seat but 300 people. And this particular night, I had 1,000 people in it.
Wow.
And that concrete floor with so many people in it, it was sweat. And you walk back there after everybody go out, and it looked like somebody done poured water on the floor. And
Wow.
they were walking in mud.
Wow. So it was very popular, Club Cherry
Oh, yeah.
and Club 68.
It was the biggest, blackest black nightclub in the South during that period of time.
Mm-hmm.
So we had people coming from everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
People coming out of Hodgenville, Elizabethtown, Fort Knox. Fort Knox, a lot of times, a lot of those people come and spend the whole weekend with me. They'd sleep on the floor.
Wow. So it's good for tourism.
Mm-hmm.
That's great.
Yeah, I say that I really put Club Cherry on the map, which would have never happened if Harleen hadn't had the confidence.
Mm-hmm. And you?
Mm-hmm. Because he knew that I was a hustler.
He knew you were capable of the job, and you proved him right.
Mm-hmm. He had that radio show radio station up in Minnesota.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the one he was going to sell. And that Monday I won't stock the place up. And he didn't leave me no money. And I had $300. And I took that $300 and I made $1,500.
Pretty good investment.
With the 300.
Yeah. Pretty good investment.
That's kind of the stuff I made off the band and all the beer stuff I sold.
Mm-hmm.
That was kind of everything. Because I say the band made a big portion of it.
Mm-hmm.
Then we had a thing going where had a lot of little local bands in.
Uh-huh.
And I'd have a little band and charge 50 cents a head to get in.
What were the covers for some of the larger named people?
Hmm?
Did you have a cover for some of the big name stars?
Now I got one picture.
I mean, a cover charge.
Oh, back then the $5.
$5.
That was big money.
Uh-huh. $5 to come see some of those big names. That's pretty good.
And a good local band said out of Louisville, they charged $2.50.
Okay.
So people like Ike and Tina Turner,
Mm-hmm.
that was getting $5 head.
Uh-huh.
Well, I should have got more.
But in the 60s, that was pretty good money.
Oh yeah, but they were costing me $650.
Mm-hmm. $650.
I called New York one day and I told them I just started in business and I didn't know too much about it.
Mm-hmm.
And the lady says, well, since you know too much about it, says, when I get somebody close to you, I'm going to give you a call and let you know about it. I said, okay. So one day I was sitting in the club and the phone rang, and the lady says, I got James Brown, I'm going to let you have him for $350. I said, what? I'm going to let you have some $350. I said, shoot, I don't know about no James Brown. And hung up on her. And went about 3 years later, I gave him $2,500, which was big money,
Oh, yeah.
to play in Lexington. They had a big bowling alley. They had took all the bowling alleys out, and I put him in that place and packed it.
Wow.
So after I told her I didn't know nothing about it, I started listening and watching and listening at the jukebox and stuff. I said I could kick my own butt.
Oops.
Yeah, yep, that's what that was, oops.
Yeah. But you made up for it over the rest of the years.
Oh yeah.
After you learned a little bit.
Oh yeah, I made up for it.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah, one night I had Jimmy Church, which I'm still booking him.
Uh-huh.
And I started booking him in '61, and I'm still booking him.
Wow.
One Saturday night I had him. He had a big fella with him called Johnny Jones. Played a beautiful guitar. And I heard this guitar making all these funny noises and stuff. And playing the Star Spangled Banner. I went back and looked. I said, "What was that?" It was Jimi Hendrix.
On the guitar.
And about 3 weeks after that, I picked up a magazine, the Jet magazine.
Uh-huh.
And he had gone to England
Uh-huh.
with the Rolling Stones.
And he was performing with Jimmy Church. He was performing with Jimmy Church at that time.
Well, see, Johnny Jones taught him how to play.
Jimi Hendrix.
Johnny Jones was a guitar player and a painter.
Uh-huh.
So Jimi Hendrix got to be world famous, and Johnny was still painting.
Wow. So they were performing here in Lebanon too. Another Jimi Hendrix was here in Lebanon then. Wow.
Lebanon has made a lot of people famous. Cause a lot of them didn't get to be nobody until they came by here, like the Ohio players. They didn't get to be nobody until they came here.
So did you have a lot of talent scouts that would come as well when you had performers on stage? Did you know of many people who came down to?
I had a lot of people come down that was running nightclubs in different places.
Uh-huh.
To come and see what I was doing, see what was I doing.
Uh-huh.
So they go back and do the same thing.
Right.
And I booked a group out of Texas called Archibald and the Drills. You heard of them?
What was it?
Archibald and the Drills.
Uh-huh.
You heard of them?
I believe so.
They out of Houston, Texas.
Uh-huh.
They had a song called Tighten Up.
Okay.
And they had a big fat fellow with them. He could dance all messy, I tell you.
That's great.
And then I had a fellow called Roscoe Shelton. And had an MC called Gorgeous George.
Huh.
And I got a book here with him in it. So George was an MC, and he was more famous than Roscoe Shelton was, who was a big singer.
Huh.
Then I had another group out of Nashville called the Wallace Brothers. Then I had a dancer with them, with a female impersonator.
Uh-huh.
They called him Shaker Plenty. I picked up a magazine one day and I saw him in it.
Wow. Thank you very much for sharing your stories with us. I appreciate it. Again, I've been here with Obie Slater, who is the manager for Club Cherry here in Lebanon, and is still promoting and booking some bands around the area, right?
Yep.
Going to keep at it, huh?
I think I'll quit when I die.
There you go. Hopefully won't be for a while. But again, it's been Gary White for Channel 6 Television, and thank you very much.
You're welcome.